I wanted to just, it was like I was talking to myself in the song. I sang, all is well, do what you've always done, you know, go and put your records on. I'm Corinne Bailey-Ray, I'm a musician. I sing and play and produce and write, and this is what made me. I got into music as a child. I always really loved it. I sang at school, I played the violin, but then at the same time my younger sister was learning guitar, and then when she put it down I would, you know, get it, bring it onto my knee and just kind of work out a few chords. And I had recently discovered two singers, two musicians that were really changing my view of music. One was Billie Holiday and one was Kurt Cobain. And I loved Billie Holiday, I loved all this texture that she had in her voice. It was a revelation to me because I'd always loved singing, but I'd felt that I wasn't a good singer, or I didn't have the right kind of voice because I always had this texture to my voice. So when I heard her, I was amazed. It wasn't loads of runs and trills. She was just telling a story. It was almost like someone talking to you. And I thought, yeah, I think that's the kind of singing I like. And then at the same time I got into Nirvana and heard Kurt Cobain, and he had so much sort of pain in his voice and so much texture. And there seemed to be so much truth in the way he communicated. When I got the guitar, you know, I would study Kurt Cobain from watching the VH1 performances, and then suddenly, you know, being able to write songs. The 90s was a really big space for feminist music, and a lot of women bands, sort of female-fronted bands who were writing about their world, you know. It could just be about the everyday. And that really affected me. It was saying that what you want to write about and how you want to write it and how you want to sing it is all, you know, you have permission to do all of that. My song, Put Your Records On, is what made me. Put Your Records On was the thing that kind of, I don't know, poked a hole in the bubble, you know, so it's just like everything else could flow out through there. That was the thing that really brought attention to all my music. I remember being sat on my bed and just coming up with this guitar riff. I remember working with two writers, with Steve Chrysanthou and John Beck. When we got together, we were all sort of singing out bits over different things, and I said I really wanted to have some reference to that Bob Marley song, you know, Three Little Birds. And then that was another Bob Marley reference because I really liked Bob Marley, and got this, you know, my dad's from the Caribbean. I remember I had just started wearing my hair out, which was really a new thing for me, and feeling the self-consciousness of other people looking, other people's gaze, because I had always had my hair sort of super tied back and not being comfortable with the texture of my hair. And, you know, I grew up in quite a non-black neighborhood. I really wanted in the song it to say, you know, gotta love that afro hairdo. And I wanted to just, it was like I was talking to myself in the song. I sang, all is well, do what you've always done, you know, go and put your records on. And I loved, you know, you're gonna find yourself somewhere, somehow. I really like that as a way to finish it. My why for making music, I think, is the need to express myself. But the other thing I really want to do is connect with people. I feel like you really get it when you play in a room with people. You get that sort of collective exhale when you sing a certain line where people say, you know, I too have felt that feeling. It's really important for me to be authentic and to be myself. You know, I had come from classical music, I'd come from my dad's soul collection, I'd come from being a child of someone who arrived from the Caribbean as a teenager and a child of someone who grew up in Leeds in Yorkshire. I wrote my fourth record, which is Black Rainbows, in response to this art archive in Chicago, this building called the Stony Island Arts Bank, which houses all these amazing black archives. So these thousands of books, all these thousands of subjects, mostly black subjects, or written by black authors. You know, I'd never been in a space like that before. And when I left this building, I felt like I was just writing poetry, writing songs in response to the stuff that I'd seen. These stories are so important to me, and the style I felt could be anything. My response to those objects and those events came out through all the styles that I know and love. So I just felt like with this record, the feeling of freedom, I feel like that's why I go back to songwriting over and over and over again. The authenticity of it's really important. I just want to be myself. It only works if I'm being myself. So that's why I do it.